As the anti-Israel protests rage on nationwide, Jewish students are ready to make their voices heard. Harvard and UPenn students will be testifying before House lawmakers in about 40 minutes as they pledge to fight anti-Semitism. Let's bring in Shabbos Kestenbaum. He's a Harvard University graduate student. He'll be testifying shortly. We'll get you over to Rayburn very quickly. I know you've been waiting patiently. You are suing Harvard University. You suggest that anti-Semitism is institutional there. Here's what you write. Quote, you say, I'm suing Harvard. Anti-Semitism is out of control. One might expect that Harvard Divinity School, which is where you're a graduate student, with its mission emphasizing diversity, inclusion, and belonging, and with religious tolerance, one of its core tenets, would be a safe place for Jews. Harvard has made it clear that it is either unable or unwilling to combat anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism is a feature of Harvard, not a bug. Forgive the blasphemy, but that's a damning condemnation.
It's a damning condemnation, and it's also a damning indictment that for a Jewish American in 2024 to receive equity, equality, or justice, they have to go to Congress and they have to file lawsuits because we're not able to get that from our own university. You know, I always tell people, if Harvard wanted to change, if they wanted to combat anti-Semitism, they would have done it already. There is nothing preventing them today from implementing policies that will combat anti-Semitism and discipline anti-Semitic students and professors. But time and time again, they have shown that they're either unable or unwilling to do anything to help their Jewish students.
Shabbos, we've had our share of Jewish students join us on this program in just recent weeks. I mean, just telling us just how unsafe they feel on their campuses. Here's some of what we've heard.
Some of the vandalism was textbook anti-Semitism. Things like Stars of David sprawled on the ground saying, "Step here."
My close friend Lonnie, she was physically assaulted multiple times. She was pushed off a ledge for holding a sign condemning Hamas.
2 weeks ago, I came onto this show and was afraid to walk on campus. Now we don't have to be afraid about walking on campus because we're not even allowed to walk on campus.
So based on what you just said, that you believe that these universities could change if they want to, like Harvard, that would be intentional, that they're making these students feel this way.
Absolutely, and I would argue it is intentional. I mean, hearing those stories are heartbreaking. I know many of those students personally, and what they have gone through is just unfathomable in the United States in 2024. I would add that there was a staff member at Harvard who's been there for 26 years who threatened me with a machete, saying he wanted to fight and bring down the Zionist mafia. To this day, Harvard has not once acknowledged to me or told me his employment status, whether he has access to campus. It is inconceivable that any other minority group would be treated with such disdain and contempt the way that Harvard and all these Ivy League institutions treat their Jews.
I want to read a quote from the lawsuit here. It says, Harvard's anti-Semitism cancer, as a past Harvard president termed it, manifests itself in a double standard invidious to Jews. Harvard selectively enforces its policies to avoid protecting Jewish students from harassment, hires professors who support anti-Jewish violence and spread anti-Semitic propaganda, and ignores Jewish students' pleas for protection. The public thought that Harvard might start addressing anti-Semitism after President Claudine Gay resigned after that disaster on Capitol Hill last fall. But you say nothing has changed.
I wouldn't even say nothing has changed. I would actually argue things got worse, and I'll give you a fantastic example. So we had these Harvard Hamas homeless shelters on campus for the past 3 weeks where students violated school policy, chanting calls of ethnic genocide against Jewish people, vandalizing school property. And Alan Garber, the president of Harvard University, just yesterday said that he's going to negotiate with them, and he's going to give them a seat at the table so that they can talk about divesting from Israel. They could talk about having a Palestinian study center at Harvard. I, as a Jewish student, I've been wanting for months to talk with the president, to talk with my dean, Marla Frederick. So I guess the only way that I can be heard and I can be seen is if I violate school policy, if I call for the ethnic genocide against Muslims. I mean, it is so absurd that they are rewarding bad behavior and they are rewarding anti-Semitism. It is so unacceptable. And let me just add one last point quickly. Harvard purports to train the next generation of American leaders, presidents, politicians, thought leaders. Yeah. If my classmates, if my professors are those next generation leaders, we are in a very, very scary point in our country because it's not just anti-Semitism. They're anti-American. They replace the American flag with the flag of Palestine.
Well, we know this is your message when you run over to Capitol Hill in a few minutes.
Yeah.
We look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Thank you so much.
Shabbos, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Our best to you.